It's my pleasure to welcome you to the dedication of the class of 1964 Commons Garden. My name is Colleen Garland. I'm our Vice President for University Advancement, and I'm thrilled to be here. I had the pleasure of sitting in and watching the College Bowl, and while I've known a few things about your class, now I know that some of you are very, very smart. The rest of you are really great cheerleaders. And all of you are very generous, as evidenced by the beautiful garden behind me. So thank you and welcome. My role today is really just to be the MC. So I'm going to turn the microphone over to two of your fabulous leaders for your class, and that's Grant Kurtz and Kathy Law Rhinesmith.
Thank you, Colleen. I think we all need to start out by saying that it is Colleen and her staff, particularly Katie Webster standing over there on the left, and Brenda, who we all know as Alumni Director, Brenda DeWitt, have been the guiding force to help our committee focus on what we're doing here. And they have just done a wonderful job of keeping us all on track with not only the outreach to our classmates, but also how this whole space was going to be developed. And so if you got the mailings, which I'm sure you did, there was an artist rendering in it. And I thought I might just point out a little bit about what actually was done. But we've actually now finished what's called the Jaywalk, and this we call the Commons Garden, because the area behind me where the trees are was all replanted, and all of the brickwork, which kind of goes across before the 1944 sign, all the way down to the left and to Chapelier, and then all this cement work was done. So it's basically this end cap of the Jaywalk, which we've done as our class gift. And it's really been a privilege for me to co-chair this project with Grant. Come on over, Grant. And with Dick and Ann Castle. And I want you to know that 2 years ago, Grant called me up and he said, we've got to start thinking about this class project. I think it runs with the SAE somehow. But anyway, Grant was a great motivator. And he said, start saving your money, putting money away, because, we really want to do a good job when we all get here and have something that we can pass on as a legacy to the campus and as a way of giving back for all that we have gained while we were students here. So I really want to also express a lot of gratitude to the whole reunion committee. There was a lot of outreach that was done on the part of your classmates through our Greek groups, and that was a big effort, and there are a lot of people sitting here who are responsible for a lot of the gift that came in. So I think the last thing I wanted to say is that our hope for this space is that it fulfills really part of what the current strategic plan for the university is, and that is to create a more close-knit sense of community here. And so what better space could there be for creating community and having community take place here, which it does a lot during the academic year. I'm sure you've all seen pictures of the students out here on the Jaywalk. So I think we can all be very proud and give ourselves a hand for finishing this lovely Commons Garden.
Well, I hadn't planned to say anything because Kathy's much better at that than I am, but we are pretty excited because it all goes across to the far end, and including the gardens, at that building over there, which will be more growth as time goes on, and of course we were also thrilled to be able to end the Jaywalk. So we were looking forward to students coming here for contemplation and study and sharing times with their fellow students.
Thank you all.
I believe this will be easier. Well, it's a great pleasure to sit with you in this spot that you have helped create for the campus, and to express my gratitude and the gratitude of all of us who are a part of Ohio Wesleyan on campus today, and all of those who will follow us, who will benefit from your generosity in the creation of this space. I want to add my word of appreciation to Dick and Ann Castle, to Kathy, and to Grant for their leadership. So many of you participated in the committee with whom they worked to gather the support of the entire class. Your class gift is very significant. It's significant because of the beauty of this space that you've created. It's also significant because I believe that your class gift to the Ohio Wesleyan Fund is the largest Ohio Wesleyan Fund class gift in history. And those of you who were at the reception last night heard me, and I won't repeat all that I said then, but just note how important the Ohio Wesleyan Fund is to what happens on this campus every day. And the experiences that our students are able to have, the education they receive, would not be the same without the support of the Ohio Wesleyan Fund. And in this year, where your class is providing well over 20% of the total of that fund, it would not be what our students this year would not have had the experience they were able to have without your generosity. I want to reflect for a moment about the Jaywalk. When you were students, you'll remember that this was a neighborhood. There was a street here. There were houses on both sides of the street. There was a church. Was it still here when you were here, or had it been removed? There had been a church seated about where we are seated now. When it was announced that I was coming to Ohio Wesleyan from a school in Arkansas, I received a letter from a woman in Southwest Arkansas with whom I had worked on church-related matters earlier in my work in Arkansas. And she said to me, her name was Ruth Cobb, she said, "You wouldn't know this, but I grew up in Delaware, Ohio. I'm a graduate of Ohio Wesleyan, and I grew up in a house that they tore down to build the student center." So she lived in one of the houses across the street here. But over the years, people had a vision for connecting the two campuses, the residential campus to the west and the historic academic campus to the east, that were essentially separated by 3 blocks of neighborhoods. And those connections began with the construction of the library, with the construction of the Chapelier Drama Center, the Corns building, what you knew in your day as the MUB, was sort of the first building of this stretch. And then in the 1990s, the street was closed, the Hamilton Williams Campus Center was built, and a walkway was placed where the street had been that was called the Jaywalk. And the Jaywalk was, as it implies, a walkway. It was a way to connect the two campuses so students could move from where they lived on the western edge of the campus to where they attended classes on the eastern side of the campus. And along the way, they would pass the Drama Center, they would pass the library, they would pass the campus center. But in the last 5 years, as we've worked with the support of a number of 50-year reunion classes to renew the Jaywalk, we've wanted to think about this not as a passageway, but more as you would think of a square in the center of a village. When you arrive in the center of a village and there's a square, the street is not a passageway. It's a gathering place. It's a place that gives shape and meaning to the fabric and the life of the community. And we wanted this space to become that, not just a passageway, not just a walk, but a part of the fabric of a community that would help give shape and meaning to our life together. So the class of '62 provided the fountain, which feels very much to me like a European square. And it sits between the entrance to the Student Center, the place where we gather to eat, where we gather for lectures, where offices are located, and the library, which is, if you want to find OWU students in the evening, as this was the case in your day, you find them in the library. And the fountain serves as a sort of a village square. And then the class of '63 added the commons, and all of a sudden we started seeing students gathering here in a variety of ways. And I would notice as I walk from my house to my office, the Adirondack chairs were never in the same place on 2 successive days. And that's what happened when you gather in community. It's different groups of people at different times of the day and different configurations for different purposes. And so now you have added to this sense of the heart of the campus as a place not only to pass through, but as a place to stop and to gather and to be with other people, or to be alone, to reflect. And you've added the beauty of the garden, which in a sense is a terminus of this portion of the Jaywalk. Ultimately, we'll be doing more work to extend all the way to Liberty and then across to the residential campus. But you've added a focal point for students who are making their way up in this from the academic campus, and you've added another place where students can stop and gather. When the weather's good, they'll get their lunch in this campus center and they'll bring it out and they'll eat lunch, or you'll see them just throwing a frisbee or sitting with a book or with their iPad as they would do today. So I want to thank you for the importance of your gift. It adds to the beautification of the campus. It does some work that we've needed to have done. But more importantly, it contributes to the development of this village or this community that we call Ohio Wesleyan, that we call the Ohio Wesleyan student body. I don't see our chaplain, and I've been told as the only former college chaplain in the audience that it falls to me in Chaplain Power's absence to offer the prayer of dedication. So with those words, may we be in a spirit of prayer. We thank you, God, for the good gift of life, for the good gift of life shared together, for the memory that these alumni have of the lives they shared together now some 50 years ago, and for the lives that are shared together on this campus now as students arrive, bright-eyed, eager, sometimes a little unsure of themselves. But as they spend their time together in the classroom, on the playing fields, in the performance halls, and in informal spaces like the garden behind me now, some of that lack of sureness goes away. They gain confidence, they mature, and they prepare to become leaders in the world that awaits them. So as we dedicate these gardens and this commons, we give thanks for the generosity of those who have made this possible, and we give thanks for the lives that will benefit from that generosity and from the world that awaits the service and leadership that will emerge from those lives. It is in that spirit that we dedicate this space on this day. Amen.
Thank you. Just a final word of housekeeping. With the conclusion of the dedication, we are now ready for your class picture, and that'll take place on the steps entering the Hamilton William Campus Center. So thank you all.